Okay, so on this question, let me bring it down here. The right over here, the square root. Oops, do that so well. Square root of 9x plus 63 minus 3 equals x. Okay, so we have our wall of separation here between the left side and the right side. Okay, on this problem, let me just tell you in advance, we're going to get an answer we're going to get two answers, and one of the two answers will be false. In other words, will be like a fake answer, will not really be true, and we'll have to throw it out. So in the end, there's only going to be one answer that's valid, that really works. I want to show you how you figure that out. How do you know that's the case? Here we go. So the first step. So, oops. Solving square root with an equal sign. That's what we're looking at. How do you solve a square root problem with an equal sign? Step one. Get the square root alone. So I got to get alone, meaning this square root is saying I want to be alone, meaning I want to be all there is on my side of the wall. So that means I need to add 3 to both sides. Like so. Boom, boom. That cancels out. Bring this down. We have the square root of 9x plus 63. Right, that comes on down. Equals, on the other side, x plus 3. That good? So we got the root alone. Step number 1. Step number 2. I'll just go like this. Parenthesis 2 power, parenthesis 2 power. Both sides. So we're going to come in here, we're going to go parenthesis 2 power, parenthesis 2 power, both sides. Okay. And you know what that means. That means to write 2 of them, doesn't it? So let's do that. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go square root and square root of 9x plus 63, 9x plus 63. And the other side, it means x plus 3, x plus 3. So a 2, so we do the same thing to both sides. We 2 power both sides. And when you 2 power both sides, that means, right, there's 2 power here, there's 2 power here. That means write 2 of them, write 2 of them. Now, on the left side, you know what's going to happen, right? We're just going to have 9x plus 63 no longer in a root. You remember the deal, right? 2 inside the root leads to 1 outside the root. Remember, square roots, they're 2-for-1 deals, aren't they? You know, like the square root of 7 times 7 is just a single 7, isn't it? 2 7s in, 1 7 out. That's why the square root of 49 is 7, right? Because 2 7s in lead to 1 7 out. That's the fundamental rule of square roots. That's the main thing we do with square roots. 2-for-1, like shopping at Target, things are on sale, 2-for-1. So 2 7s in, 1 7 out. 2 9x plus 63's inside roots leads to 1 9x plus 63 outside the root. That's what square roots always do. 2-for-1. What about the other side? On the other side, we've got to multiply like this and this. First to both, there's no roots. On the right side, there's no square roots. So it's just normal multiplication. So it's going to be x squared plus 3x and boom, boom, plus 3x plus 9. Is that good? So on the right side, the first one goes to both, and then the second one goes to both. First to both, second to both, because there's no square roots over here. There's no 2-for-1 over here on the right side. On the left side, there's a 2-for-1, 2 square roots, and 2 inside leads to 1 outside. All right, now, having done that very important step, let's keep going. So we've got some more work to do here. So now, keep this side as it is here, equals the other side. I'll gather these two together, 6x. Right, they make 6x. Now, what do we do? So now we're on step 3. And what do we do when you have an x squared? Now the whole game plan changes. Now we have an x squared has showed up out of nowhere. What do you do when you have an x squared with an equal sign? Well, first, part A, you get 0 on one side. So that means I'm going to come in here and go minus 9x minus 63. Whatever you do to one side, you have no choice but to do the same thing to the other. So gonzo, gonzo. And so we get 0 equals x squared. Now these two subtract, 6x minus 9x is minus 3x. These two subtract, it's minus, I don't know. Let me see, what's that? 54, I think, right? Yeah, minus 54. Like that. So, like that. Okay. So A, get a 0 on one side. B, factor with the 2 parentheses. So next we're going to go, okay, 2 parenthesis factor. Remember this? And you say multiply, add, multiply. So x times x multiplies by x squared. What multiplies to be 54? Well, or 6 times 9 or 9 times 6. And how do they add to be minus 3? Sign in the middle goes on the bigger. Like that. Did you see that? So minus 9 times plus 6 is negative 54. And they add 6, add means add or subtract, right? If you add a negative, you're subtracting. So 6 and negative 9 add to be negative 3, don't they? Remember the sign in the middle always goes on the bigger number. 9 is bigger than 6. So do you remember that step? It's been a while. It's been a while. Oh, well, here. That's actually right. Right there. So yeah, so it's been a while since we've done x squared equations. So let me make sure this is making sense so far. So from the beginning, we had a root to deal with. How do we deal with the root? We get it alone, and we parenthesis 2 power both sides. We did that, and then the 2 for 1 here, 2 inside the root leads to 1 outside. Over here, it's first to both, second to both. And then we gather like terms. Then we go, okay, now we got x squared. Originally we had a root, got rid of that. That's gonzo. Now we have an x squared. What do we do with x squared? Well, we had a whole chapter on that a while back. What do we do with x squared? We first get a 0 on one side. So I subtract all these guys to make this 0. And then you factor the other side with the 2 parentheses. Remember that? And then part C, each part equals 0. And solve. Now you take each part separately equal to 0 and you solve it. So I take the x plus 6 separately equal to 0, or the x minus 9 separately equal to 0. See how I take each of those separately equal to 0 and I solve. Now why? Why do you do that? How can you go from 1 equals 0 to 2 equals 0? How's that okay to do? Well, because it makes sense, because these are 2 numbers multiplying to equal 0. See the parentheses, parentheses. If I told you, hey, I'm thinking of 2 numbers and I'm multiplying them and it's coming out 0, what does that mean? One of my numbers is 0, right? How can 2 things multiply and equal 0? If the first one is 0 or if the second one is 0. If either one is 0, they're going to times each other and be 0. Well, that's all we just did. It's just reasonable. It's logical, isn't it? If these 2 things are multiplying to equal 0, that means the first one could be 0 or the second one could be 0. Either way, if either one is 0, they will multiply to be 0. So that's why that's true. Math always just goes with what's true. All right, and then we finish up. It says and solve. So subtract 6 from both sides. So negative 6. Up here, add 9 to both sides. So positive 9. So we got to answer negative 6 and positive 9. But hold on. That was, so far we've done 3 steps, right? 1, get root alone, parentheses, second power both sides, then solve the x squared. Now there is a step 4. But wait, there's more. I feel like it's an infomercial. But wait, there's more. you must check by plugging each answer separately into the original. You have to do the check. What was the original? Way up here. Grab the original right here. Bring it all the way down. Square root of 9x plus 63. So all the way down. So here. Square root of 9x plus 63. What else was this? Minus 3 equals x. Minus 3 equals x, like that. And then the other one is the same thing. I'm going to do that one because we got to do them both separately. 9x plus 63 minus 3 equals x. So in both cases, I got to plug in -6 for x there and there. And then we'll do the same thing over here. We're gonna plug in 9 for x there and there. Right? And then we just got to see which ones make it true, because that's what an answer, a real answer, is supposed to do, make the equation true. That's what we're doing here, right? We're trying to solve and find out, you know, what x values make this equation true. So let's take a look, see. So 9 times -6 plus 63 minus 3 equals -6. Okay, so coming on down, this is the square root of, is that going to be -54 plus 63 minus 3 is -6. That's going to be the square root of, what's that, 9 minus 3 is -6. That's, oops, getting confused. Square root of 9 is 3 minus 3 is 0 equals -6. No, it doesn't. So throw out the answer x equals -6. He's out. So I'll come back up here and I will just cross him out. He's out. He's a bad answer. See how he didn't really work? He's a false answer. Now you might wonder, why'd that happen? Well, it's in the very nature. Basically, when you do this step up here where we did the parentheses, second power both sides, that has the ability to bring in false answers. It's the best thing we have. It's what we need to do. It's the best way to solve these, but it does have the ability of bringing in a false answer. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So that's why we have to check these. Whenever, so one more thing, how am I going to remember on the test which one to check? Any problem beginning with a square root. Any problem that begins with a square root and an equal sign. At the very end, you're going to have to parenthesis 2 power both sides to work it out, and that can bring in possibly false answers. So at the very end, you have to check your answers. They may or may not be real answers. What's a real answer? Something that really makes the equation true when plugged in, right? I mean, that's what we're trying to do. When somebody says solve this, they're saying find what values I can plug in for x that will make the left side and the right side equal. You know, what values of x really make the thing true, equal, left side equals right side? Well, we're saying we thought x equals -6 was a value that would make it true. But when we plugged in the -6 for x in both spots and worked everything out, we got 0 equals -6. It doesn't work. Throw it out. Let's do the other one now. So now the other one, see if I can come on down here and keep things separate. Okay. So getting back to this one, we have square root of, it's going to be 9. And we plugged in 9. And right there and there, I plugged in 9 there and 9 there, right? Plugging in 9. Okay, now hopefully this one will work. In fact, I can tell you in advance, it will work. This one will be good. This one will be a real answer. So what's this will come out to be? 81, right? 9 times 9 is 81. Plus 63 minus 3 equals 9. Be careful what's under the root and what's outside of the root. Those are two separate worlds, and we must keep them separate. Okay, add those up. That's 144. Take square root of 144 in your calculator, it'll be 12. 12 minus 3 is 9. Yes, 9 equals 9. Yes, so that's a valid answer. Yes, so good answer. So the only answer to this problem, only answer that works, is x equals 9. This one. So that's so there's only one answer. So we'll come up here and we'll go 9. We'll check this box and we'll go 9. Only the 9. We're not putting in the -6. The -6 did not work. It was a false answer. So we throw it away. We keep only the 9. And so that's how we do it. So a lot of steps there. Now, let me mention, you might wonder, does this always happen to sometimes both answers are good. You can get a situation where both answers are good. Sometimes they're both bad. And we actually choose the no solution right here. If they were both bad, if they both didn't work, we would choose the no solution. Sometimes one's good and one's bad, like we saw this time. And so there we go.